Alright. Hey, what is up, guys? This is Spirit, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a podcast that's talking about the pre-shippuden Naruto series, and my co-host today will be my good buddy Steven, otherwise known as Teeteen. Steven, do you want to introduce yourself and say a few words?
What's going on, guys? Teeteen, also known as Steven. Usually I just do like podcasts, and here and there I'll do a couple of videos about like video games or League of Legends. Sometimes I live stream. It just depends on whenever I have time. But thanks for having me on.
Alright, yeah, anytime. Alright, so first subject we're going to talk about today is our favorite characters, characters we really enjoyed watching, or just characters we liked in general. What are some of your characters that you really liked watching?
Uh, Probably early on was Iruka Sensei. I think he was probably a good character, like starting off on Naruto. Just because like you can tell he had like a little bit of hatred towards like the Nine Tails attack, and like towards Naruto. But like as you get later into the episodes, probably to like episode 10, you find out really that like Iruka like accepts him as like a family member, almost like a son or like a little kid brother. That was one of my favorite characters. Zabuza, that arc with Zabuza and Haku were was probably one of the best arcs.
Like,
Zabuza was a great character. His redemption was like honestly, that kind of got me. Like where he redeemed himself at the end.
he really was a interesting character because I think like prior to that arc, if you're watching the series, you're kind of like, it's good, but there's nothing really to hook me yet, and that whole beginning of that arc like immediately gets you right away. It's like, oh shit, this is like someone strong, as strong as Kakashi. Like, all right, this. And then like the fucking Haku kid is insanely strong. Although I think he still like went way too easy. Like it would have been interesting to see how strong he would have really been.
Yeah, that was like kind of like the letdowns, and probably that arc was like like Haku should have been able to defeat Sasuke and Naruto super easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did force Sasuke's Sharingan out, so that was a plus for maybe the series, was that you actually saw like Sasuke's Sharingan.
He also like pretty much awoke in like the Nine Tails cloak too.
Yeah, that was also another thing.
It's
But
like,
don't you think like the Nine Tails was more like prioritized in the early like Naruto series?
and how it
Like
used
it
to.
was much cooler.
Yeah, it was a lot cooler because we didn't like know anything about how it worked at all. So when it happened, you're like, all right, this is gonna be very intense. Like I kind of wish though they would have gone at the same time more in depth with it, like they sort of do in the Shippuden era, but still we don't really get a whole lot with it outside of the very beginning. Anyway,
Yeah.
but like Zabuza though, you could argue is one of the not the best villain of the series, but he's like the best catalyst that jumped anything.
Yeah. I don't know, like that's probably like the only times I thought where like, someone was gonna die in that series. Like you didn't you think like for sure during that whole Zabuza and Haku arc, like someone was at least gonna die in
Yeah,
that fucking one of those episodes?
I thought for sure Sasuke was like dead, and it was gonna be all right. This was quick. I thought for
Yeah, it's
sure one
like
of them was gonna die.
like oh shit, Sasuke died. Well, I mean, so how's the series gonna go on? Is he just gonna be remembered like as a fallen hero or something? But then he came back alive, and
Is
I was
this what
kind of
jump starts
surprised.
the Hokage dream?
Yeah, like I think also one of my favorite characters, especially during that arc, was Kakashi. He was like pretty much a dick in the first part when he was like introduced. He was a dick to like Naruto and Sasuke and all them.
True, but we do
But then like
learn later on why that was the case.
yeah, I mean totally. But like when you first like watch it from like I guess like a first time standpoint, you're kind of like, man, this dude's an asshole. Like why they introduced his character. But then once you start seeing him in the Haku and like Zabuza arc, it was like, oh shit, this dude's actually a fucking badass.
Yeah, you know, I think Kakashi's like, I've always liked Kakashi. I've liked what meant to the series, but I've never was like a huge fan. And I think it's partly because like he always left me wanting more. And it's like I never quite got what I was looking for with him.
I think it's because like his storyline was so shallow, like his background in the first part of the Naruto series, like it didn't explain much. You didn't get like super informed about his life until like you get to Shippuden, and even then you have to like dive into like 200 plus episodes to even get like a glimpse of his old life.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the shitty parts like they kind of fucked up on. Like Kakashi's like my favorite character, like of all time besides Itachi.
Yeah.
So like I wish in the beginning they would have like at least expressed a little more about his side of the story than like looking like a straight idiot, like not like idiot standpoint, but like a dick. Like you didn't know why he was like that.
Yeah.
And that's what probably got me.
I think it would have been nice to get like a little bit more in depth with him. Like they didn't need to go like that in depth with him. Like even, but a little something would have been better than what we got. I think.
From like your first point of view, how did you think that like power wise, who was your favorite character when you first started watching it? Like let's say like first 50 episodes.
So I don't think I had one outside the first few episodes, like because like out of the four main characters, Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke, I don't really like any of them. Like, and it's not because I think they're bad characters, well, outside of Sakura, but to be completely honest, it's really not her fault that she is a bad character. I think she just kind of gets shafted by how the other characters were written. But
you really think she's that bad of a character? Like even in the beginning, I thought she was kind of influential in most parts. I mean, of course, she was gonna be the scaredy cat of the group, besides Naruto.
Well, I don't even like view her as the scaredy cat. Like, I think she has the strongest personality out of all of the main characters, which is something I've always given her credit for. Like, it's not that I think she's that bad of a character. I just think she was kind of that. She felt like a side character. And that's,
yeah, she was.
For a main character, it's just not. It's not good. Like, but I do. She is the glue that holds the puzzle together. Because without her, certain parts of the stories just don't plain work. It wouldn't make sense. But so,
and she also kind of sets the vibe with like the shipping part of things. Like Naruto wanted to be with her so bad, and she fucking loved Sasuke.
But can we just all agree that the whole Naruto Sakura thing was the dumbest ship on the face of the planet?
I mean,
because really? Come on, no, there was no way that was gonna happen.
There was a slight chance.
I don't know. I think during the Shippuden talk we can have a little bit more of a discussion on that. But I think there reached a certain point in Shippuden where I was like, all right, this might happen. Then like the very next episode, it's like, okay, yep, no bullshit.
I know what episode you're talking about. Yeah, we can talk about that more in the Shippuden podcast. But I'm just saying she kind of set up like the love interest.
Oh no, like, she did for sure. Like there's no doubt there, but
her and Ino for sure because they were super over Sasuke.
No, I definitely want to talk about Ino later. I have beef with that girl.
Really? You really have beef with her on like the first?
It's minor.
In general,
it's minor beef. It's really minor beef, and it's not even her fault. It's a problem I have with the writer. Like Kishimoto, God bless you are a fantastic author and artist, but I have beef with you regarding Ino. But I think, yeah, because I don't really care for the four main characters that much. They are not what I like about Naruto. I enjoy when they're on there, but they're not like my favorites or anything. So I think my favorite character, or my couple favorites anyway, definitely Shikamaru, for sure. And that's mostly because I see when I was like his age that I was exactly like that. Everything was a drag. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit there and watch the clouds. Like, that's how I was. So I connected to him on a personal level. But then later on, as we learn a bit more about him and how as he develops as a leader, I think really drew me in even more. And he's still, like, arguably one of my favorite Naruto characters. And his friendship with Choji is still something I laugh at all the time.
Honestly, that was probably one of the best duos in the series was Choji and Shika. Like, Shikamaru and Choji, like, they knew each other. They knew, like, their tendencies. Like, they knew when one was upset, mad, or something. Like, for Shikamaru to know that Choji, like, does not give up the last chip to anybody.
I refuse to give up the last bite.
And, like, that was probably the funniest thing. Like, when was that? When they were going to get,
when they were going to get Sasuke, because Akamaru jumps after the chip and he pulls it away. No, you don't.
That was probably one of the... I think another favorite character of mine was probably... I think Asuma. I think Asuma Sensei was probably one of my favorite characters in that anime.
Yeah, I liked Asuma too. And especially because we actually got development from him. And I really like what we learned later on in Shippuden about him. I kind of wish we would have learned it in pre-Shippuden, though. Shippuden. Yeah, I think it would have fit the pace a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I actually need to discuss that part when we ever do the next podcast, because I really don't like that part about Asuma, like how they planned it and stuff. I didn't think it was right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel the exact same way about Kurenai. Like, honestly, because she was one of my favorite characters in the original series, and I got so upset when she got zero development at all afterwards.
Yeah, the Did Itachi fight, like, it left a lot of fucking unanswered questions. Like, she got, Itachi in the Genjutsu, which was easily broken, but, he even applauded her for even trying that fucking Genjutsu on him. And you're like, oh, she has potential. And then after that, I heard nothing of her.
Yeah,
until, like, Shippuden.
We never, like, really see her again. Like, well, we do, but it's, like, basically cameo appearances. And, like, as Genjutsu in general is severely underused in the series. Like, for being a main, like, skill ninja are supposed to have, it's barely talked about. And it's even used even less.
I think it's because it takes a lot of stamina. Like, because for Kakashi to use... Because the only people who knew how to use Genjutsu was, like, Sasuke, Itachi, Kakashi, and Kurenai. Kurenai wasn't that well at it. I think it took a lot of stamina out of Kakashi's because Kakashi didn't have the Uchiha blood. Oh, so, like, it used more chakra on him
Kakashi
than it would
in general,
against the Uchiha.
Though, throughout the series, like, it's pointed out multiple times that he does not have a lot of chakra in general.
No, he doesn't. But it also has to do with the fact that, like, the Sharingan, like, since he can't control it, it's just, like, freely using his chakra at, like, every moment. Because if he could control it, he could, like, just have a regular eye instead of just having the Sharingan on at all times. Because I remember reading up on that. Because, like, he says, like, since he doesn't have the Uchiha blood, he doesn't have, like, the correct chakra and, like, control of it to even mess with the Sharingan. He was even lucky that he got the Mangekyo.
Yeah, which was... I would still have loved for that to be actually explained. And I don't think it ever was, if I remember right.
It was in Shippuden.
I'll have to go back and watch it. But, like, kind of getting back to Kurenai, like, how cool would it have been for her to be one of, like, the main people? Like, honestly.
For the early Naruto? For the early Naruto, yes. I don't
Yeah,
think it
like
much to Shippuden.
Shippuden, no, I don't think so, considering how they went about fights. But it would have been so much cooler to get to see more Genjutsu outside of her little filler arc. I would have loved to see,
Yeah.
because I was more interested in Genjutsu than anything, which is part of the reason why I liked Itachi so much.
Yeah,
Because at
his
least it's
Genjutsu
like,
when he busted it out was fucking amazing.
oh, it was, and it's just a damn shame that she didn't get more development. But I think one of outside of my favorite characters, like everyone who knows me knows, like I love Hinata. I do. She's a great character. And for those who don't like her, I get why. Like, there are things about her that not everyone likes, and it's understandable. But I actually didn't care for her that much in the original series. She
She
got
was
a lot
portrayed as a
better.
weakling.
Yeah, and I don't think she was that weak, but it did sell her. She sold me on the tuning exam. Like, after that, I was like, okay, she's a great character. But since she wasn't one of my favorite it's in the original series, like I actually really liked Kiba and Neji. I think were my two favorites after
Kiba?
Shikamaru. I did like
Really?
Kiba.
I didn't like Kiba. I thought he was kind of annoying. For me, it was Neji and Rock Lee after kind of like the main groups. I think Neji's character, I think the way they developed his background was really good during the tuning exams.
I think,
Because like he really did have a hatred for the Hyuga. And it was like very well known to everyone, even Hinata.
yeah, with Neji, I think he does have one of the better, well-written backgrounds, even if he does fall off extremely hard for no apparent reason in Shippuden, which was bullshit. Because he was a kind of a fan favorite, wouldn't you think? Kind of outside of like the main cast, he was kind of a fan favorite along with Rock Lee, I think.
Well,
Like,
I think that like
if you didn't like
he
Neji, you
surpassed
liked Rock
Hinata.
Lee.
Like, I think he surpassed Hinata in fans. Like he had
Do
to
you?
because I
Do
mean,
you think that?
yeah. I mean, I don't know how to like put it in terms, but like Hinata was kind of just like you
She was
know
she was
that
like everyone's best girl. Like that was just
yeah
kind of the
everyone's best girl.
consensus.
That was the only reason why she was so popular. But I think if they would have shined a light on Neji more, he probably would have had more fans. And that's no bullshitting because even like coming to his part in Shippuden, some unfortunate shit happens.
Which was
It's
bullshit.
fucking.
It was complete bullshit.
It was heartbreaking. I didn't give a fuck about Hinata being in that scene. Get the fuck out of there. It was all about Neji at that moment. But
Yeah, Neji did kind of win the spotlight right there. But
I
it
mean,
was
I think I think he won the spotlight most of the times when Hinata was there. Either
well,
way,
I
like
think that is a fair statement, but Hinata, outside of a few moments in the Naruto series in general, before we get back to the original talk, isn't really meant to steal the spotlight. Right? She certainly had her moments, though. She really did. But she
I
was
mean the
like
pain
kind
arc,
of
yeah.
yeah, in like the last but she was kind of like that person who uplifts everyone else. She makes everyone else look good.
I
And
don't know
while
if we
she
didn't have it.
while she
Go ahead.
herself is a great character, she is. But she's not one of those who are gonna go out of her way to make great opportunities for herself. That's just not what she does.
So are you saying she's the Sakura of the old Naruto when she's in Shippuden? Because Sakura was
No,
like that. Sakura made everyone else look good, and then she was just kind of fucking there,
I
spouting
think
out her stupid ideals.
I think to a degree that's the case. I think they're roughly the same in Shippuden, but I do think Hinata, at least I would have to rewatch it because Sakura does actually have her useful moments, but still not really. I think while Sakura in Shippuden is a bit more useful, if anything, only because she just got way more screen time. I think if it would have been in reverse, Hinata would have been more useful, but I think Hinata is shown to be the stronger character, and I do mean that literally, not so much in physical strength, but in terms of everything else. I think she's proven to be more stronger-willed, and I think that's part of the reason why she was able to win over so many more fans.
let me ask you this. I need to ask you like a personal question. Um, did you what did you think of Konohamaru? I thought he was the most fucking annoying character in the beginning of Naruto.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't care for him at all throughout the entire pre
Naruto
Shippuden.
or
Like
Shippuden.
now, while my opinion has definitely varied since then, I do kind of like him because he is the student to Naruto. Let's be honest. Like he really
And he's a really good
is.
student. Like, and he has good bloodline. He is a fucking Sarutobi. His grandfather was the third Hokage.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the third Hokage too, because goddamn, I have questions, I have problems with that man.
Why do you have problems? Go ahead, shoot him at me. I kind of want to hear this. I have third Hokage like pretty high
Now,
up.
I want to preface this that he is in my top 10 Naruto characters. I do like him. He is a great character. That being said, what the fuck happened? Like,
As in,
at the very beginning of the series, he's argued to be the strongest between the first and the second Hokage. You and I both know that's bullshit. There's no fucking way, especially with what we learned in Shippuden. And
well, I mean,
it
he's
makes me
definitely
question.
skilled.
No, he is, but it makes me question, like, because I think most, at least big Naruto fans, would have caught that. Like, wait, there's no way he's stronger, especially, like, after we learned certain things about Hashirama and Tobirama. Like, there's no fucking way he's stronger. And if you're going to make that statement, now this isn't Sarutobi's fault, like, why not give us an arc back in the day, even if it is fucking filler, to show us how strong he was? Because we really
There's only
see...
like two glimpses. There's only two glimpses of him back in the old day, and they're both in Shippuden.
Yeah, and
Like,
even then, it's like not even him fighting.
it's like
It's
20
him
seconds
it's
of
him
like talking.
with Jiraiya, and that's like it. Like out of all of the big name Hokage, he gets talked about. He gets the
The least.
least look, and even though everyone says Tsunade is the worst Hokage, I would actually argue that one. I don't think she is. I think she's one of the better ones.
I don't
That
think so.
like what the hell, man? You can't just make a statement about that kind of character in the story and then completely turn it around in your next part. That's not how it works, because I would have been okay with saying, yeah, he's a strong Hokage, but like with the power that Hashirama and Tobirama both had, anyone from that era would have been like, no, that's fucking bullshit. Sarutobi is not on their level.
I think the only reason they rival him towards that, and this has to be doing with like a Naruto theory. It's like maybe like the village didn't really grow up to see Hashirama and Tobirama, because if you think about it, Hashirama wasn't around when Tobirama was like Hokage, and Tobirama died, and then the third Hokage was announced, which was what's his name? Sarutobi. So I don't. That's where I think like a lot of people may have like thought about that, because like when they say that, like he was like he rivaled the first and second Hokage in the early series, like you never knew much about the first and second Hokage, even when Orochimaru revived them. There wasn't much known. Like even the Jutsus were kind of different when you see him like in Shippuden now.
Yeah, and the thing about their fight in particular was that I think that's the second best fight in the pre-Shippuden era, was the Orochimaru and the first and second Hokage versus the third. Now we do get a pretty good glimpse of how strong he was. Now guaranteed, once again later on we knew they were nowhere near at full strength during that. Otherwise he would have gotten killed within a minute, and that wouldn't have even been
and
close.
And you think about it, Hidison was in old age, so his chakra has dwindled down from like the good old days. Because he, you can't like look over the fact that he did master all five. Like earth, wind, fire.
He did, and that's
shit.
like I think by the end of the series, I think only a couple others learned how to do that. Kakashi was one.
Sasuke.
I don't think Sasuke was one.
Yeah, I think Sasuke mastered all five.
Maybe.
If
Well,
not, it was Itachi.
that'll be another one we'll have to go back to. Like, I know Hitachi did, but getting back to Sarutobi, like, why, out of all the other Hokage, why do we know about him the least? Like, I don't get it. Like, especially during the fourth, or not the fourth Ninja War, but the third Great Ninja War, that would have been the perfect opportunity to take, like, a minor filler arc and be like, alright, this is what the third could do.
Yeah.
And we don't get that.
I think you mean the second. Because the third Great Ninja War was like Minato and Jiraiya and Tsunade. That was the third Great Ninja War. I think where you'd really see him shine was the second great one, where the second Hokage dies and then he becomes the third Hokage. I think that's where you see most of his good shit.
I think you're right. So, like, why didn't that happen? That would have been prime opportunity.
See, but we didn't even know about the Great Ninja Wars until like almost Shippuden, and even then, Shippuden they didn't talk about the first, second, or even third as much. The second was kind of like mentioned towards the demise of Danzo, the Sasuke and Danzo fight. They show that's where like Hirusen becomes third Hokage, but you know there was no background to it. Like you have to read into like a fandom wiki page to even find out about the second war or the first one.
You know, when we get to the Shippuden talk, I can't wait to talk about Danzo and how terrible of a character and arc his was.
Was he shown in the... He was shown in the first part, right? I think
like,
he was a dick even in the pre-Nord.
I think Shippuden. He was in there for like a second. I think we get like basically a cameo appearance, and I think that's pretty much it. So I don't know. I don't like him. His arc was stupid. His entire premise was pretty dumb too. I mean, to a degree, it makes sense, but no. All right, so we talked about some of our favorite characters. Let's move on to some fights we liked. What were some of your favorite fights in the pre-Shippuden era?
Okay, I probably have like top 5. I'll do top 5.
Yeah, shoot.
Number 5, Rock Lee versus Gaara. I thought that fight was probably one of the better fights in the Naruto series.
Lee, take them off.
Yeah, that part. That you saw his resolve to win, because like when you saw Gaara, especially when you first see him, like when he's first introduced, you're like, oh god, this fool's a fucking killer. Like this fool's gangster. Like, this fool legit does not care about human life. And then Rock Lee's just trying to prove himself. I mean, he's in love with Sakura. He tried to fight Sasuke before the Chunin exams, almost got doused on. And then just the fact that like Lee almost dies in that match, and like he has to overcome adversity. That's what probably put that like fight up there within the great fights of the pre-Shippuden series. It's like Lee almost dies. Gaara almost just crushes him in full death, and a guy has to save him at the end. Number 4, I have to say, it's probably that Kakashi and Itachi fight.
You think
that
so?
was yeah, I mean it wasn't like super huge. I think you have to put the whole fight in general to even put it on top of it. But for Itachi just to like bust out the Mangekyo Sharingan, even like that was like so fucking, because you barely learn about the Sharingan, and then Itachi busts out like, well, hey, I'm a fucking master at this shit. And just as he says it, he's like, you're not of Uchiha blood, and then like bust out that fucking, what was it called? The Genjutsu, that form. Yeah, the Tsukunomi. I can't believe, I thought Kakashi was gonna die. I legit thought he was gonna die during that episode. I don't know if you did, but I thought he was gonna die too.
No, I didn't think he would, just because when you really think about it, at any point, Itachi alone could have just killed them all. And he showed, like, no desire to do that. Obviously, we'll learn later on why, but if that was... You don't know that watching it. And
I also thought Kisame was pretty strong on that fight.
And he is called the Tailless Beast for a reason. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Kisami's kind of overrated. Like, he doesn't really do anything important at all. He's like my least favorite Akatsuki member.
That's
All right,
true.
you're number 3.
Number 3 will be Orochimaru versus the third Hokage. I thought that fight really set the bar. That really, like, besides the Zabuza and Haku arc, that really reeled me in again, because it does go off in a little bit. It kind of veers off of interest during those episodes, and then once you hit like that arc where Orochimaru and third Hokage are fighting, I thought that was probably one of the better fights. Also, it could have been best fight, but there's 2 more ahead of it for me. Number 2
What
has
could
to
have
be.
been?
What could have been?
Before we get to your number 2, you know what really ruined that fight for me though?
Which one?
Like,
The Orochimaru?
Yeah, that fight got ruined for me just because of how they only showed, like, I think 3 or 4 minutes of that fight at a time, and then they would just go somewhere else.
Yeah. Also, was taking place with that Gaara versus Naruto fight.
Like, it would have been nice to have, like, just a whole episode or 2 for that fight, and then instead of just going back and forth.
Yeah,
I think
but
it takes away from that fight, and that's why it's not talked about as much compared to other fights.
yeah, I still think it's a great fight though. Like, I don't think there's any, like, that's the only knock on it, I think, was that they could have just like dedicated episodes to it. But I guess they were trying to go the route of like covering everything, you know, like every fight in between and during the actual fight, which I didn't really think was a good thing. They should have had like a couple of filler episodes for the other distant fights that were happening. Number 2 is gonna be the Zabuza Haku versus Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and I guess Sakura, if you really want to put Sakura in the fight. That one. No, I mean, she just did, all she did was guard, you know, but you have to throw her in there because she was part of the episodes. That was probably the first time I jerked some tears on that show, you know, especially towards the end when, like, Haku dies. She saves Zabuza from the straight fucking Chidori. And, you know, Zabuza redeeming himself at the end, you know, finally breaking down to Naruto's pestering of, you know, why are ninja like this? Why is this, like, why do we get the shit into the stick? You know, how come we have to fight with no feelings? You know, this and that. And then, you know, Zabuza, like, you know, turns around and mows down 100 people with just his teeth and a knife. That was probably... That was probably a dope moment.
Pretty much the original badass, and then we met Itachi.
Yeah, Zabuza was like, oh shit, this dude's bad. And he was part of one of the swordsmen. Like, he was part of the, like, 7 swordsmen, right?
Yeah.
He was pretty fucking good. Number 1, though. I gotta say, it's the Naruto and Sasuke. The pre-Shippuden. The biggest fight before there was a bigger fight in the Shippuden era of Naruto. You know, that was kind of like a lot of questions were being answered at that moment. Like, you know, were the
final valley. How fitting, too.
Yeah, the final valley. And then, like, you figured out, like, where the arc's going to go from here. You know? Because it was building up where you could see the, like, animosity and, like, the anger of Sasuke, like, just building up inside of him. You know, just wanting to, like, avenge his clan. You know, then Orochimaru giving him, like, a, you know, pretty much kind of like a bait. You know, hey, you know, I can make you this stronger, and if you really want to defeat Itachi, you need this.
Yeah, you know? Orochimaru was, like, making a deal with the devil at the crossroads. That's kind of what his entire role was.
And, you know, like, besides that, you know, you also had Naruto getting stronger, and you saw the jealousy between, you know, it was mainly just the jealousy of Sasuke. Sasuke was just so, you know, I think he was getting mad and jealous at the same time that Naruto was kind of taking the spotlight.
Yeah, that he was developing faster than Sasuke at that point.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good fights. My list is going to be drastically different. But I do like all those fights though. Like I do, but my favorites is a little bit different. I think if I'm gonna do a top five too, I think my number five it's gonna be Tamari and Shikamaru during the Chunin exams. I think like that's like the first and arguably one of the last times we really see actual strategy being used in a fight compared to just my jutsu is stronger than yours kind of thing. I have more chakra than you.
Yeah.
And it shows how smart both characters were. Like, Tamari is constantly countering everything Shikamaru does and is a good ranged opponent, which hard counters Shikamaru's entire jutsu. And then at the end of the fight, he gets her with a fucking hole in the ground and a makeshift balloon. Like, that's part of the reason, in general, why I think the pre-Shippuden fights were honestly better. Because strategy was actually being used. Like, you actually had the characters actually had to think about their moves compared to just going, I am just plain stronger than you. My jutsu is just plain stronger than you. I just have more chakra than you. And that's also, I think, where we really start to see how great of a character Shikamaru starts to become after that. So, that's my number 5. My number 4 is going to be Hinata versus Neji. Because I think in the same way how the Zabuza Haku arc is for you, I think that was my first real big, oh shit moment. Someone actually might die. Because I think that's also, because this is before we've learned anything about Sasuke, really. This is like, alright, Naruto isn't the only one who has to deal with hatred. Like, Hinata and Neji both have... Hinata has to deal with being hated by Neji, and Neji hates his entire blood, arguably half of his bloodline. And and we also get to see Neji finally show some greatness, like, because he's heavily hyped through several different characters, like, oh, Neji's really fucking strong, but then we have no idea why up until that point. And then Hinata, at that point, as well, starts to blossom into a great character from there on. Now, she doesn't really get any shine after that, but that's like her first big moment where she starts to change. And that's also where I think Naruto starts to really... Like, he makes his ninja code at the Zabuza arc, but I think that's where he actually puts his foot down with it.
Yeah.
So there's that one. My number 3. What would my number 3? I think my number 3 is going to be the Naruto Sasuke fight in the Final Valley for pretty much every reason you stated. And that's also, I think, where we get to see how strong the power of the Nine Tails is. Because, like, we know, oh, the Nine Tails destroyed the village, but how strong is it really? And then, even though Naruto still loses the fight, it's like we come to understand later that the Nine Tails didn't really give him that much chakra at all.
No, I mean, it was just like a baby amount. And it was like the infancy of the power, what could be the Nine Tails.
That's like the very beginning. Like, oh shit, what do we have here? So, I think my next one, my number 2, is the Orochimaru and Third Hokage fight, because like that's the first time we have any idea of how strong the Hokage really are. Like, even though the third is old, he doesn't have his chakra reserves. I mean, he's still, even if they were like nowhere near as powered up, he still takes down first Hokage, second Hokage reanimated, and still almost kills Orochimaru.
Yeah, Orochimaru had to like pull a bitch move and like survive on that fight, I think.
Like, he barely got out at all.
Because one-on-one he wouldn't have won. Like, he needed those clones, the reanimated ones.
Yeah, it's like there's no other way. I think Orochimaru just would have gotten, just absolutely wrecked. Like, I don't think there's any way he wins that otherwise. You know, it's not really a fight, but I do have a favorite one for sure. Honestly, I like the Ebisu versus Naruto thing. Where it's not really a fight. Like, are we doing just straight fights, or is it kind of a fight and a chase sort of thing? Can we do?
You can do that. That one is that guy you're talking about. Is he the creepy one with the glasses?
Yeah, where the challenge is
Kuramaru's
for
like,
the challenge is for Naruto just to run away. It just shows like how strong that guy actually is because he takes down all the clones with ease.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're not gonna get away. Just beats the shit out of him basically, and we think he's such a weak character. And he's actually decently strong, even though we'd never see him fight again up until the Pain arc, and even then he just kind of gets clapped. But it's Pain. Pain's pretty much a god at that point.
Yeah, when you refer yourself to a god and people believe you, you got some, pretty godly powers.
And he like destroys the village in one go.
Yeah. That was your number 2, you said?
Yeah, that's pretty much my number 2. That's my type for number 2. But the number 1 fight, even though I think it's the shortest fight in the series, I really liked. No, I don't think I can use that one actually. So I'll go with
What is it?
one. Well, I was gonna say Jiraiya versus Itachi and Kisame, but it's not really a fight. It's like it's like a minute.
You'd probably have to use like that whole scene, like the whole Naruto, the beginning of it, where Naruto's about to get snatched, and then it's Itachi versus Sasuke. Then Itachi just snaps Sasuke's arm like a fucking twig. Like, that was a pretty good fight. I'm not gonna lie.
It was like, I just don't want to use it because like it was just too short. We don't see a lot outside of Itachi's a fucking god and Jiraiya's a lot stronger than we've known him to be up to this point.
But what it did do is it create like a better storyline, like a more understanding of like the hatred between Sasuke and Itachi, and where Itachi's basically like telling him like, if you really want to get better than me, you need to have like hatred. Like, you don't have enough hate in your heart. And it's like, oh shit, like this dude's just smack talking his brother, like, you can't kill me, dog. Like, you're shit. Like, you don't got it.
You don't have enough hate, and you know something? You never will.
And then just like leaves. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you look at the Amaterasu, like that was the first time Amaterasu was like pulled out.
I won't even lie though, like every time I hear and see that scene, it still gives me chills. Like, because of how like brutal Itachi was. And just cold, man. He was scary. He really, really was. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, that would be it. Even though it's really hard to classify it as a fight, I guess I would just say that whole scene.
I mean, there was fighting in there. You can't like discredit it. It's kind of like
no, you can't.
It was the most important part.
It's hard to just classify it as just one fight, though.
It was multiple fights. There's at least like 2 fights going on, like an inner battle and then like the actual fights. Like the inner battle of like Sasuke just trying to overcome his brother, Itachi probably like, even though like it shows it in the Itachi arc in the Shippuden series, like how much he actually hated doing that to his brother, but that was probably those were inner battles. Itachi just trying to make his brother better, but having to do it the way that maybe a normal brother wouldn't have brought up his brother like that. But then again, he did just slaughter his entire clan. So there's probably those battles going on, like, internally that we didn't know at the time, but now that we know.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting question for the Shippuden talk, was what if it had kind of been done in a different way?
The what ifs, man, like, that's the thing, man. You can talk about what ifs, like, all the time, but it's, like, kind of hard to even, like, to sway away from the story to me. Because I think the story was, like, pretty well written to where like it's not like working on like fantasize on it and like a manga and stuff, it can be completely creditable. Probably Death Note. like the what ifs, like what if like this happened if Light did this, or Ryuk didn't do that. Like there's some like mangas and animes like that. I just think it's really hard for Naruto because the story was so well written. Like it kind of leaves like little things to say what ifs. There's not a lot of big what ifs, if you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's fair. We'll have to do a Death Note talk too at some point because goddamn, I could rant about the second season all day.
I didn't like the second part. Honestly, I probably have to rewatch it because I skipped like 20 episodes. I said, fuck it.
Dude,
I didn't like the second part.
It was bad, but... Alright, well, we got our fights out of the way, so let's go ahead and go to... Is there anything you would change about it?
Okay. Well, what I would change for the Naruto series is definitely include more background stories. More about like what we were saying, the third Hokage, shit, even about Neji's family, how that was going to be. More background on the Uchiha, rather than just like blurred out every once in a while. The Uchiha clan got slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
Great, that's awesome, but like, why? What were the events leading up to?
Yeah, great, but why?
Yeah, Kakashi, I really wanted Kakashi's background to be more integrated into the earlier part of the Naruto series, because you probably would have got more of like almost like a nostalgic, feel towards Kakashi. Like you feel for the guy for all that he's been through. Like, because for the first part, you thought he was just a dick, and like he does mention like certain parts when he's talking to Sasuke, like all my friends are dead, push me to the edge. I'm just kidding, that's a song, but
Crawling in my skin.
crawling in my skin. But honestly, like there just need to be like little changes. I don't think I would change like a whole lot in the Naruto series to make it better. Just mostly background stories. Probably the most problem I had with Naruto, the first part, was that like the first three arcs were like super like interesting, but the filler episodes were so butt.
I think quite a few filler was pretty ass, but I think like I like the Hinata, Kiba, and oh Jesus Christ, Shino adventure when they had to go find the beetle. That was my favorite That's my favorite filler arc out of any of them. I don't count the Itachi as filler because it's canon to me.
Yeah. I just didn't like the fillers, dude. Honestly, like I think Shippuden did a better job at doing the fillers. But like for you to do, like, I understand you have to make up shit so you can get ahead on the writing part of it, getting storyboards and all that. But I think that was the biggest mistake on that part of the early pre-Shippuden era, was like the filler episodes. Some of them weren't interesting at all. Some of them were just throwaway things. Like, it's just super hard to like Naruto series when like 40 plus episodes are thrown away because of just bad characterization, story, and everything. Like it was just mostly fillers that really got to me, where I think Shippuden's a little more better than the original Naruto series.
Even if it is, there's way more filler than canon episodes in Shippuden.
Yeah, that, but
But you're just saying that they were done better.
They were done better. Like that's where I can enjoy more filler episodes on the Naruto than I can. Like on Shippuden, I can enjoy more than I can like on the original Naruto series, because the original Naruto series is mostly like the filler episodes, where if it wasn't about like the other teams and stuff, it's about Naruto bitching about how he can't find Sasuke.
Sasuke!
Yeah, and then like Jiraiya just telling him like, this is a fucking process, dog.
One could make an argument that every arc is the Catch Sasuke arc.
It could be,
like when you really think about it.
Like who was the real main character of the? It could be very well be called Sasuke instead of Naruto. Sasuke Shippuden, Naruto.
Boruto's dad, Sarada's dad.
I mean, you can't say Sadara's dad. Like, that's an insult to Sasuke himself. Like, I think, what would you change about the series, man? Going back
uh,
to that.
you know, there's one beef I've always had. This is part of my problem with Sakura. Not Sakura, but, you know, how she was kind of dicked off, basically. I would have made her a Genjutsu user. Because how Kakashi, I think within the first few episodes of... With the first few episodes of, him meeting her... Within the first few episodes of meeting her, he makes a statement that you really have a gift for Genjutsu, and then we never see her use it throughout the entire series. Outside of release. I think she would have been... I think it would have fit her a lot more to be a Genjutsu user. Now, wow, when Tsunade ended up training her, I do like that. I really do. But I think it would have been so much more interesting to have a Genjutsu user on Team 7. Like... And a talented one at that, don't you think?
But wouldn't Sasuke take that role over anyways? Because he is talented.
Not really,
with
because he never really used... Sasuke breaks Genjutsu, but he never uses his own. Not really. He only used it twice. And it was not really Genjutsu. It was more him looking into... Naruto. That was pretty much it.
And he put Itachi in the Genjutsu also. And he put Danzo in the Genjutsu.
I mean, he put Danzo in Genjutsu. Itachi, not really.
I mean, he put Sakura in one when he left the village.
He knocked her out.
I mean, but he like...
It wasn't a Genjutsu. He literally just knocked her outside her head.
Okay, I'm tripping. That was Shippuden at the end.
No, that's not even Genjutsu either. He ripped out her soul.
That's what you think, man. I think it's a Genjutsu.
That's not what I think. That's exactly what.
Dude,
he did.
It's on the manga that you didn't have to put her in a Genjutsu like that. Like, it's on the manga. I think I've read that manga on that part. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's a Genjutsu.
We'll have to go back at that. I'm pretty sure he just ripped her soul out with the Rinnegan.
But
that's what I thought he did.
I guess you can say that, you know, we did need a Genjutsu, you know.
Yeah, it just would have been nice in general. I think it would just would have fit Sakura more the way she was portrayed early for her to be a Genjutsu user.
Yeah.
And it would have been even more interesting going back to Kurenai for Kurenai to be her personal trainer.
Yeah.
Now, well, it is a little bit more fitting that each of the Sannin got their own student, but I would have liked to see Kurenai. Come on. So that's one thing I would have changed. Her be a Genjutsu user. Would have just made it so much more interesting for me. It would have been more interesting to get more Ino. And what I mean by that, by more development. Because to me, she is along the lines of Itachi and has one of the more intriguing jutsus in the series. Being able to go into people's minds. Like, I would have liked to see more development with that now. There is a little bit more development with it. But how come we never get to see more of that? Like, some of the more intriguing abilities, Genjutsu, you know, mind destruction, and a few others. Like, why don't we learn more about this? We learn about all the flashy stuff, but none of the more covert things. And I think she would have been a more... Now, while it's kind of the Sakura argument, I don't have a personal problem with Ino, but it's like, why didn't you develop her a little bit better? She had potential. Especially because she's argued to be stronger than Sakura. Like, like why not put more into that? Like, is it for the sake of plot? Like, I don't know. Big thing I would have changed. Why the hell didn't the third Hokage just adopt Naruto? That would have been something I would have changed.
Yeah, that does kind of leave questions. Like, you know, I mean, he did look after him, but he didn't look after him like as his own. He kind of just like let him, you know, grow up to be whoever he was going to be, you know.
Yeah, because for the way the third Hokage is portrayed and then we learn about what actually happened during that battle. Like, it's hard to believe that there's no way in hell that the third wouldn't have done it, right? Like, so why didn't it happen?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing. I would have liked a longer Chunin exam arc.
I thought it was alright. I didn't like get left with like I'm wanting more. I think I was kind of satisfied with the arc
No, like,
in itself.
or rather, I guess not longer. I would have changed it around a bit. I would have liked the actual tournament arc to be a bit longer.
Yeah, a lot of it was kind of like behind the scenes of that arc.
Like, I
And
guess.
then like you can.
So not like longer, but I would have not the actual arc to be longer, but I would have liked that particular area to be longer.
Yeah, more screen time.
Yeah, for
what
sure.
you're saying.
Definitely, for sure. Like, at least, and then the invasion to happen would have been nice. We learned more about Kabuto in Shippuden, but I would have liked to have that taken place in pre-Shippuden for me.
Yeah, it would have been easier because I would have hated him even more.
Yeah,
It would have
it would have made so much more sense.
Because even like when he does like his filler in Shippuden, I didn't even really care much for it.
No, because it was like already, to me, it was past his time for this to be a thing.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I would have liked for us to know about the whole signing and everything during pre-Shippuden. Or at least get way more info onto it.
Even if they showed him as like kids, like you don't even really have to like talk about them like growing up becoming the three Sannin. Like even as younger kids, you can kind of do that because the Naruto series was already like it was already in the area where like everyone was real young, so they can flash back to like how old Jiraiya was when Naruto was, and like see like almost the exact same similarities, kind of.
Like that, why didn't that happen? But I know there's a couple other things I can think of, but I think that's all I'll talk about right now anyway. Maybe in a future podcast, we'll go back to that. But those are, I guess, the big ones, outside of the current one, which I've already discussed.
Yeah. I honestly, I do, anyone who's probably like watching this, whoever's going to watch this and whatever, and like, you've watched Naruto, or you haven't yet, and you just listen to all these fucking spoilers. We didn't spoil as much. There's still a lot that you need to watch.
No, we could have spoiled a lot more, honestly. I think we were pretty easy going on a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm not the one to super spoil a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't want to, because I mean, like, I think it's easier for people to enjoy the series.
You're
I think
funny. You
Adam
like
made
to
that
spoil. You
Huh?
piece of shit. You like to spoil.
What do you mean?
I still haven't forgiven you for the Tokyo Ghoul thing.
What are you talking about, dude? Are you sure that was actually Tokyo Ghoul shit?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're referencing is I was trying to make like a hidden joke, but Adam kind of blew it out.
I didn't blow it out. You completely spoiled it.
Back in the day, Adam was talking shit to me about I think it was RE0, and he just kept calling Amelia trash, and I kept telling him to stop if he did, and I was just gonna bust out a whole chapter.
You didn't ever even say stop, too. I would love for you to actually go through and pull it out, because no, you didn't say stop. You just kind of dropped that bomb out of nowhere, and that isn't cool, man. You can't
I said I was gonna throw down some spoilers if y'all didn't quit,
and then I did stop. I did stop, and then you did it anyway.
Yeah, no, I couldn't hold back the. Let me rephrase that. I don't like spoiling to people I don't know, but like if I know I can get like under Adam's skin for like 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, fuck me, I guess.
I mean, that was the only time I ever spoiled something for you, though, if you think about it.
Fair,
right? I don't think I spoiled. Don't worry, dude.
I won't lie.
I have more.
Spoiled Your Lie in April for you, but I wanted to be good.
I spoiled it for myself.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think that'll do it for this podcast. So until next time, this is Spirit, and then this is Teeteen. And then his YouTube channel will be in the description below, and hopefully maybe next week we can get another podcast with him. So catch y'all later.
Sounds good. See you later, guys.